Notice, in accordance with the new copy regulations, this episode of Quoth the Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content will feature is sometimes kid-friendly, context of the episode is to address adults, inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well, rated TV 16 and up. And welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Louis Brett Raven. I'm your host, Louis Brett Raven, 29-year veteran of writer, illustrator, editor, science fiction, fantasy, comics, role-playing games. And I'm joined by the Midnight Avenger in my lap. And he decided he wanted to join me today for some reason. I guess he wants attention more than anything else. Pop Culture Avenger says, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men, the shadow knows. This little monster does too, I think, sometimes. And Monster Fan says, hail Raven, and Chatterers, and hello, hail to you as well. We got a busy day to week to go here, and so we'll get started. I get these questions started with, I guess. Our first question happens to be from Pop Culture Avenger. He says, I was going through some stuff and came across several new pathways into science fiction and fantasy magazine from the mid-1980s, published by Michael Atkinson. There is an artist who does a small comic strip in each issue as well as other drawings. He goes by the name Ferret. I can't find any information on him. I was wondering if you knew anything about him or her. Well, off the top of my head, I did not recognize the name. So I did a little research, and I found quite a bit for you. So we'll get ahead in that as soon as Monster lets me have my hand back. Ferret is the artistic pseudonym of Tim McNamara. He produced a considerable amount of artwork and did some writing as well in the 1980s to the early 2000s. His most notable works are Alligator Alley, which he co-wrote with author K.W. Jeter and did the cover art as Dr. Adder. Jeter was Mink Mole, the other co-writer. It's the book's written by Mink Mole and Dr. Adder. It's their nicknames, I guess. He also did the cover art too in The Land of the Dead, an early book by Jeter, and We Murder, which is under the Tim Ferret name. He also did numerous covers and interior artworks for several semi-pro magazines, such as the aforementioned New Pathways to Science Fiction and Fantasy that Pop Culture Avenger had cited. And this is the book that he started me with. This is what Pop Culture sent me to look at. I'd never actually heard of this, and I'm kind of like wanting to know more about this magazine, PCA, because I like Michael Bishop, I like Brian Aldiss. It's interesting to see something from that far back to see what it is and everything. So that's kind of an interesting thing. This is the cover to Alligator Alley, published by Morgan Publications in 1989. Midnight. Yeah, he's here. He's just being silly. He wants attention. He wants dinner is really what he wants, but it's too early for that. This is a postscript to Homunculus on the left, the Green Book, by James P. Baylock. It's a 1988 Morgan edition. Has a cover by Ferret. And then there's the cover for In the Land of the Dead by K.W. Jeter, also by Morgan Publications in 89. This is Prayers of Steel. Author is Misha, which is the working pen name of U.S. author Misha Nogna Jokalak. She's a Native American Metis Cree uh, Indian who began publishing different genre interest. This is one of the books she did, again, 1989. It assembles some fantasy poetry with it. It has cover and illustrations by McNamara. And this is the cover for We Murder as well. This came from Morgan Publications in 94. He's also had works that you can find in Science Fiction Eye magazine, Famous Monsters magazine, Witnessing Schizophrenia magazine, Dynaflow magazine, and others. He also did other covers for several James Blaylock books from Morgan Publications and later Subterranean Press. The most recent work I found of his was in 2000. And if you want more information on him, you can look up Tim McNamara on the Internet Science Fiction Database. That's the Internet Science Fiction Database. There's a huge page of all of his stuff that they got of what he did work in, covers, interiors, everything. He also did essays. He also did a lot of other stuff all throughout the 80s and 90s, late 80s and 90s. Monster Fan says Don Webb is a noted left-hand path writer and philosopher. Um, okay. Are you going to let them see you? Or are you going to stay off camera? You don't know. He likes laying in my lap. He's sleeping. So that's everything I could find on Ferret for you. Our next question of the week, or today. Multiple parties asked me if I think that AT&T's sale of Warner Media to Discovery is going to change the direction of where DC Comics is headed. If so, it's not going to be an immediate future. If they're more oriented towards the film and television side with that merger than they are with the comics. I'm not saying comics won't eventually change, but I think really if you're ever going to see a real major change in the direction of DC, well, there he went. It's going to have to be with the departure of Jim Lee because it's pretty much still the Jim Lee show at DC. It's just, slightly different. So there you go on that. Next question is another question from Pop Culture. He asked me if I have any new Indiegogo or Kickstarters to recommend. And I think that I'll wait for that until tomorrow evening because my people that I was going to have our discussion for my group discussion tomorrow have not responded. So unless I hear back from them before midnight, I'm going to make tomorrow night a Indiegogo Kickstarter discussion and some other topics that I'm just going to cover on my own. Yeah, there is a lot of wonderful stuff printed in smaller, lesser known publications. Monster Fan says, I heard the sale is only a 27% interest, so I think people may be making more of this than it is. Yeah, again, the situation with Time Warner and Discovery, again, I think it's more oriented to just having the fact that AT&T really doesn't have a grasp of how to handle the market for the mass media, and they want to get like the HBO Max, Discovery, all that stuff working on as one big mega network to go up against Netflix and Amazon, and that's going to affect what DC products get made or not made for film and animation, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have much of an effect on comics per se. Again, I'll probably talk about the Indiegogo and Kickstarters tomorrow night as part of a Thursday night chat instead. Our next question is JT's. You say you read manga, but you had to borrow a bunch of stuff from the library. Don't you own any manga, you poser? Okay, smart Alec. How's this for you? Fist of the North Star, #1 from 1989. Viz Publications. Jade Man, Kung Fu Special from Jade Man Comics, 1988, 89, I believe. Another one, Jade Man Comics, Drunken Fist 38. What was this published in? 91. So, yeah, I'd say that Kung Fu Special was probably 89 then. These are just some of the things I had just lying about out at arm's length. Saber-Tooth Swordsman from Dark Horse. Yep, Jade Man published quite a bit of books back in the 80s. That's true. I got quite a haul of those recently. But those are just happen to be the ones that were right at my fingertips, so to speak. Again, this is Saber-Tooth Swordsman from Dark Horse. Maybe not traditional manga. It's more of a manhwa type style thing. It's more Americanized, but it passes as manga as far as I'm concerned. Koi Doctoro and Jen Wang in real life from First Second. I'd say that qualifies as manga. Atom Cat, which is by Osamu Tezuka, creator of Astro Boy. And it's basically what if Astro Boy was made a cat? And it's a cat with Astro Boy's powers. So kind of cool story there. And of course, last but not least, the Cowboy Bebop 5-book box set edition. So stuff it, JT. I do have plenty of manga. Just got so much of it. It's ridiculous. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is. It's cat is basically a cat that is Astro Boy by the same creator. And JT should know better. He's watched my show enough. He should know that I read plenty of manga. It's just that I don't make a big deal out of it. Our next question. Roger M. of Denver, Colorado asks, would you ever bring back your 90s webcomics, Space of the Alien and Larry Livewire? It seems like they might be strong contenders in today's webcomic sites like Webtoons or Comixology. Roger knows these characters from when I was in college because he was my vice president for the Comic Stars Press Alliance at Central Michigan University he took over after I left and graduated. Anyway, I don't know about doing web comics for Webtoons or something like that yet. I haven't really looked into that. I probably should. Maybe people watch it or read it and spend money on me for a change. We'll see. But as far as Spacey goes, I'm hoping to get a book out later this year with him. So fingers crossed on that. I don't know about Larry though, because Larry's a little bit outdated now. I don't think today's audiences would really gravitate to that character as much. And I think a lot of fans would misinterpret the design of the character, seeing as he is basically a PC, an old school PC with a giant cathode ray tube monitor for a head and face on tire tracks like Wally. And I created him long before Wally existed, but I think a lot of people today would probably think I was ripping off Wally or something. And given that the computers today, are like in your phone or in laptops and are very thin, I just don't think that character is going to be as marketable today as it was when I did the character originally back in 1997 to 2000. You should do a campaign for it. We'll see. I probably, like I said, I might do something with Spacey, because Spacey's a little more adaptable and renewable of a character than Larry was. Our last question of the day is from Miguel Esser of Illinois, and he asks, do you think that with companies like Disney, Discovery, AT&T, Universal, others all merging and buying each other out, making mega networks for pay, that it will change how other entertainment media, like comics, will be presented in the public? Well, that's an inevitable thing. It's just more of a question of what kind of changes are you thinking about, Miguel? For me, I don't think it's going to change what comics do per se. I think it might change how we get our comics, what licenses we get, and how that gets done, and who can get what licenses from which companies. Because the more they're merged to one another, the more expensive it might become for comic people to get the licenses for some of these properties. It might make it cost prohibitive to do those type of books as a result. Which for me I think that's a good thing in a way, because I'm a person that believes that comics and TV and movies should all be separate from one another anyway. It's have different content, but there's always been some cross pollination and adaptations back and forth. So I think it'll stay pretty much the same as it's been right along. Oh, someone just asked me, why am I wearing a hat? Well, the reason I wear my hat is because my hair is kind of funky right now and doesn't want to lay flat right. And so as soon as I get a haircut again, I guess. But other than that, that's the main reason why I'm wearing a hat. So if you have questions, as you can see, when people ask, I try to answer the best I can, do a little research if I need to. You email quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR Q&A. All righty then. On Monday, we had some books that I did not finish to get reviews on. So let's go ahead and do that next. And we'll start with Heavy Metal 306 for $13.99. Publisher Heavy Metal Media with various writers and artists. Genre fantasy science fiction, released May 12th, 2021. In this edition of the anthology series, there are 11 stories and an interview with Kevin Smith. I started getting heavy metal about 8 months ago after a long hiatus. I've never been a regular follower of heavy metal. I tended to get an issue if and when a cover caught my attention, but recently for some reason, I decided to try it. This has been under a new management group and an editorial group under the current regime from what it had been. I've heard good and bad things about the business side, but we'll leave that discussion for another time. One of the stories that I know some people want me to talk about is the Barracuda story by A. Christopher Smith, better known to most comics fans as Andy Smith. It was an interesting introduction. It's kind of a 70s throwback cop drama where the lead disappeared and is presumably killed, but instead he was actually apparently transported through space and time, and now his daughter that doesn't know he has is a reporter today looking for him, and he pops back into our time in his Barracuda car. There's a lot of stuff in the story that, okay, it's there, but did it need to be there? We'll have to wait and see if it was in there for story purpose or just there for shock value. It could go either way. I'm not sold on that story just yet. It's not bad by any means. I need more, I guess, best way I could put it. Other stories in the magazine, Sebastian Perez, who you guys have seen me talk about on Canto recently. He does another story in this book called Black Beacon, which is being introduced in this issue. He does a completely different art style than what he does in Canto, which I talked about last episode on Monday. This is an interesting chapter 1 as well, in which a female human arrives on a planet where there are all kinds of aliens trying to make do, and there's no room for refugees of any race, so she gets mentored by another alien, and they try to find her a means to have a plate, in other words, a viable reason to be living on the planet. I much prefer the world building on this story than I do to Barracuda. But, again, I'm probably a little more geared towards science fiction than what Andy was doing necessarily with this. I have to wait and see. Like I said, I'm not really judging Barracuda just yet. There's not enough to really judge on. Other stories in the magazine are fairly solid as well. I don't want to go through each and every single one of them. Overall, it's another solid issue. I don't have any real complaints about it. I know that it sounds like I might be put off by some of the elements in Barracuda. It's more that I don't see where some of the content that's in the story suits the story as yet. It'll make it. I'm assuming it'll make itself more clear as the story progresses. If it doesn't, then I'll come back to it and we'll talk about my issues with it then. But there are other stories in the book that have me wondering why certain sexual elements are there too. Again, this is heavy metal. It's adult. There's potentially going to be in there. And I don't have an issue with it with sexual content or certain types of violence or certain types of showing of drug use or whatever, but only when it serves the story properly. Okay? Which I'm not saying it doesn't in Barracuda. I'm just saying I need to see more before I really make a judgment call on it. I skipped the Kevin Smith interview. Don't really care what he has to say about anything. Again, mature readers, 4 out of 5 stars. Our other book, here's the Sebastian Perez artwork. If you go back to Monday's episode and then look at the Canto artwork, you'll see it's completely different style. But it looks cool. I'll go ahead and show you some of that other artwork in here too. There was a story called Euclid that I liked. The ship crashes into a staircase in the middle of space and they climb up the stairway. Goes on and on and on and on and on. Never ending. And then maybe you arrive in hell. Or you you can just keep climbing the staircase. Kind of got a religious point to it. And the next story, Star 69, is hilarious. This this redneck picks up an alien telephone device, calls back the guy that the owner of the alien phone owes the guy money, and so they're complaining back and forth about the money that he owes. And he's like, I don't owe any money. You know what you're talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not even the person that owns this, type thing. Finally, he says, the heck with this, and throws the phone down. And the other alien ship. See, I told you left it here on Earth. But it's a cute little story. And there's other things, but where's that Barracuda stuff? That's nuclear romance. Okay, there's some of Andy's art for it. It's not bad artwork by any means. And again, the daughter's asking about her father. And then there's a storyline that this happens in July 4th, 76. And there's like a terrorist thing that's going to happen out in the harbor in New York, and he has to stop it. And I guess he goes and stops it, and that's what causes him to go back in time or disappear from time and come back. So we'll see what goes on with that. Also, I got today in the mail. I reviewed this already through the PDF a little while ago, like last week or so. I think it was called Endeavor 14, April 21, 2021 edition. This just came in the mail today. Again, I did review it a while ago through the PDF file that the publisher sent me. Kurt Erickson, that is. A lot of interesting stuff. I like having it in a physical book format. It's a little bit weird. I talked about the history of this book. This was supposed to be published way back in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, and for whatever reason it didn't, and it's just now getting published. So it's kind of weird in that sense. But there's a lot of interesting fanzine comics and articles in this. And I gave it a 3.5 or 4 star, as I recall. So certainly worth checking out. Pop culture says I have to have a physical, not digital for myself. Well, I think, with the digital format, it was more of a situation when people send me digital, it's more for review purposes so that I can review it on the show, and it makes it a little bit easier so that I don't have to like break spines when I'm trying to scan the books. I have a digital file that I can composite for graphics for the show. So there is a benefit to the digital PDF, at least in my case, but I prefer a physical book as far as just reading pleasure and enjoyment. But this is from UFO. I'm trying to think of what the price of this was. Because it doesn't seem to have a price tag on it anywhere. Huh. It's odd. No, don't see it. I'll have to get back with Kurt on that and check on the price of that. But that was one of the things I got today. Oh, you got the camera. He's going to make me look at the camera. I got to hide. That's my monster for you. Anyway, what else did I get in comic shop this week? Well, we got Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 6. This will be reviewed on Monday. All these books that I'm about to talk about will be reviewed on Monday. Jules Verne's Lighthouse, issue 2. Image. Chained to the Grave, number 3 from IDW. Engine Ward, number 10 from Vault Comics. Oh, there he is. You can see him in the corner. You going to get up here? Come on. You want to get up here? No. I want to be in front of the camera. The Bequest, Tim Seeley and Freddie Williams, and that is by Aftershock. This is number 3. This is my copy of Strange Attractors issue number 1 from It's Alive, and this has the this is the Terry Wood cover. There is 2 others, and there's the back cover. He wants his dinner. That's all his problem is. And lastly, Red Room from Ed Pisker and Fantagraphics. And you can probably have seen enough of Red Room if you watch Comics Kayfabe. There he is. He's in the background. There he is. They want to look at you. Don't you do it. This is second. Trying to push over my screen now. He'd be in bad kitty today. So quite a bit of stuff that I got this week as well. Now, I am waiting to hear back from different possible guests for tomorrow's show for the roundtable. If we don't have a roundtable, then I will talk about different titles through Kickstarter, Indiegogo, IndiePlanet.com, other places to check out comics if they fail to show up. On Friday, what we're going to talk about is scary stories to tell in the dark. This is an omnibus edition, but this was a group of children's stories that were published in the 1980s. And they became infamously popular, so much so that this is one of the most challenged library books in America, being banned out of libraries. And there's a motion picture made of some of the stories that was done by Quentin Tarantino or Guillermo del Toro. That's what I meant. I always mix those two up. Pardon me. But I got the video DVD, and I've watched another video earlier that I showed you on Monday, I believe. That was the same thing, but only I thought that was this movie. It wasn't this. What it was a kind of a historical retrospective on the book and the author and what had happened and what led to all the controversy about the book. And that was a very interesting film, um, documentary. I enjoyed watching that. So on Friday night, we'll talk about that, this, and the books all in one shot, and that'll be Friday's show. This weekend, we will have short stories. It's a collection of shorts, 3 books of short stories in one big omnibus. Is what that format is from my local library. I'll give a little more history of my knowledge of it, or lack thereof, as it were, because I didn't actually know about this stuff until recently. I was just at the wrong age when it came out to know about it, I guess, because it came out, I was in high school, starting college, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, my first exposure was recent, so we'll get into that later. Okay. And there's another book that I need to review on real quick that I forgot to do. Space Wreckers was decent. Static, 1995. Publishers Dark Horse. Artist is Matt Lesniewski with colors by Carlos Padilla. Science fiction action adventure, May 12th, which came out last week. What's about? Emmett Stone is a man at the end of his rope, former muscle for hire for a mad scientist. He now hunts monsters on the post-apocalyptic wastelands, the same ones his employer makes, all while being hunted himself by a violent gang of drug dealers whom he owes money to from his past indulgences. I said on Monday I'd reread it because but this is what I wrote. Dark Horse says 14 up. Sorry, but no, it's 16 and up. Way too much vulgar language and adult-themed content, with the lead being an ex-junkie and a whole biker gang out to get him for not paying for bad drugs, not buying drugs anymore. There's too much blood and violence also for that age, in my opinion. This is what I had, and for some reason, this page did not come up the way it was supposed to. Give me a second, and I will see why that didn't do what it was supposed to do. That's not what I wanted. Oh, I hate when it does this. Aha. Okay. For some reason, my corrections on the file was not done right. Okay. Now I know why it's like that. That being said, we'll go back to it. I do recommend it for ages 16 up. We're revisiting it. Okay. Now I've got to try to remember what I originally was going to say, since I can't find the correction. I did miss something that gave it a higher rating than what I was going to give it. And that's basically that the storyline is multi-layered in terms of what Lesniewski is trying to tell between the character of Emmett Stone and his redemption as both a father and as a recovering drug addict and so on. And what he does in the story, he's still kind of a villain, but not a villain. He's trying to get out of that bad side of himself, I guess you could say, and he achieves that, but there's consequences, and the consequences are horrific, and it kind of makes you wonder if, even though he did all the right things in the story that he should do, he suffers for it, and it kind of leaves you in this weird place of why'd you bother doing all the right things if all you're going to do is suffer and be punished for it at the end. So again, that's kind of why I tend to think it'd be better for an older audience than what Dark Horse says it's for, because I don't think a 13 or 14-year-old is really going to pick up on the nuance of that necessarily. At least not the 13 or 14-year-olds I know wouldn't pick up on it. So I probably would have, but then I read a lot older material, skewed a lot older material when I was reading at that age. So I look at what I know around me in my neighborhood and what the kids are like and what they seem to get and don't get. I don't know if they would get the subtleties and nuances of this book. That being said, again, there's darkness and it is tragic. I might maybe I'm being too conservative. I don't know. Again, like I said, I'm based on what I'm seeing in the teens in my area and their reading and their comprehensive skills or the lack thereof. I preferred his other book that I reviewed earlier this year, The Freak, over this one. But it is still a solid story, and after giving it a proper reread, had I scored it on Monday, I would have given it a 3 out of 5. It is a better book than that. I give it 4 out of 5. And here's the book again. And again, here's something I don't really want to break the spine on. As you can see, he's shooting a monster, getting run over by a couple of critters there. Blood splatter everywhere. Critters getting shot in the head. Getting stabbed with knives in the neck. Yes, it's survival of the fittest type thing, but again, not necessarily the kind of comic that a 14-year-old necessarily needs. There he is in the mad scientist place, and as you can see, he's got this monster being made, and there's some stuff in there that I don't want to. I have to move it a little bit because it's a little bit questionable what they put there. I mean, it's anatomically correct. Let's put it that way. Didn't need to be shown, though, in my opinion, but it's there. Again, why 14-year-old again? Maybe you can figure it out. Maybe you can't. But again, like I said, I would not say 14 or up. Art's nice though. Wisniewski does a very nice job, and the story is very good. So, for what it is, it's just I think the Freak was a little bit better in terms of straightforwardness, I guess, of what the theme and content was supposed to be about than this one was. Okay. And that pretty much covers us. Again, Friday, we'll be talking about the scary stories to tell in the dark. That'll be Friday's theme. But in the meantime, if you want to order a copy of Wingman, the Art of Lewis Bright Raven Volume 1, I have copies available. And what it's about, it's a 48-page black and white, 8.5 by 11 trade paperback art book and historical perspective on my career from 80s to like 85 to 2011. During my high school days and when I first started doing comics in fanzines and stuff like that into my professional work. Those of you who have watched and bought, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the copies that you've received. I know Monster Fan's waiting for his. I'm still trying to get your proper packaging for your poster that you ordered. But anyway, if you want to get a regular edition, it's $9.95 plus shipping and handling. Personalized sketch is $15 plus shipping and handling. It's $10 for the shipping and handling. Unfortunately, that's what it costs these days. I apologize for that. It is what it is. So figure 20 for the regular edition, 25 for personalized sketch edition. There's what a sketch looks like inside. So you know what you're getting. It's a little thing like that. Pop Culture Avenger. Hold on a second. This thing gets back in its bag. There we go. Pop Culture Avenger says, thanks again for the info on Ferret. I'm going to delve into looking for more information. And that's cool. Happy to help you out on that. And let's see. If you have questions like Pop Culture did, you can reach me at lewis.brightraven on Facebook, at lewisbrightrave2. Yeah, you try to email me at quothravenlbr72@gmail.com. And if I don't respond to that, try lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. You can also check out my artwork at deviantart.com/brightraven. And remember, you're watching Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven on YouTube. Mondays, we do comics news and reviews. Today was What Did You Get This Week? Thursdays is usually a roundtable discussion. Again, I don't know if my guests are going to pop up or not. So tomorrow, if my guests don't pop up, we'll be having a Kickstarter Indiegogo discussion and showing different things. Pop Monster, if you have stuff that you want me to talk about from the Indiegogo Kickstarter scene, email me at the Gmail address and let me know what they are, and I'll look into them for tomorrow. And then Fridays is genre night. And this Friday, again, we'll be talking about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the book, the movie, and the documentary film. And manga will be next week when I get into all the manga stuff I got from the library, and we'll do that. Okay? And Pop Culture says we'll do Raven. I appreciate it. In the meantime, live draw. Saturday and Sunday. This will also be a vault sale this weekend, I believe, is scheduled. That sounds right. So I'll have all new artwork available. There'll be sketch cards, pinups, just different things that I'll have pull out of the vault, and we'll see what we can sell and have fun with that, as well as do a couple of pieces of live illustration this weekend. So until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Peace out.